Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today you join me at Teamsport Nottingham for a Elite Members Night and also my first qualifying round for the BIKC, because why not? Now there was meant to be two other videos. There was meant to be one at Gridline Racing for the Super Pole event, and I managed to film my nutsack for the entire evening. And yes, I did delete the footage instead of thinking to keep it. The second place was at Cartworld Extreme Leisure, where I managed to turn the camera on and then off again. But nevertheless, we head into practice. As we now head over to kart 19, which is my first car of the day, plot my seat into the car. This is my first time ever in a biz car and ever at Nottingham, so this is going to be interesting. And please excuse the Yuki Tsunoda point of view.
Schumacher coming behind.
You have to put up with that for the rest of the day because I'm short and don't have a wide-angle camera lens because I'm poor. But nevertheless, we're going to run you quickly through the format for this weekend. It is a GP2 format with a grid series, which basically means it's a 15-minute qualifying, 15-minute practice, and a 30-minute race with one pit stop, which I'm sure will not go wrong at all. Now, the main reason I was here today was purely for a fast lap time for BIKC, but nevertheless, I'm still going to try and be not a pain in the arse to everyone else on the track who comes here regularly. That's my main mission of the day. Now, after that lovely performance from Bon Jovi, we head out onto the track, and I have no idea how to turn the car on, which shows you my level of expertise. But as we go out now under yellow flags, I'm just trying to get a feel for the grip of the car, the grip of the circuit, how sharp the brakes are, everything like that, as we are learning completely from scratch here. Now, it's a good time to mention in this practice session I wasn't actually seated properly, and I was so close to the steering wheel I was bashing my elbows off the seat every time I tried to turn, because I'm very clever and only twigged that the seat moves back right before we went out. After the lights tests were completed, we were free to begin our first push lap as we go into the last corner here. Very oversteery I found on the power. It was a very low grip circuit. There's a lot of corners I did struggle with, and I'm not really sure what the fastest way for a few of these corners was, because I had no turning points, no braking points. I was coming into this completely bare. I've only watched, I think, one video, and it was a Cameron Daz video of him defending some kind of karting champion here. But nevertheless, we're going to try and get a decent lap time. I was aiming for a 32 for this entire event. Luckily, we did achieve we achieved one in qualifying, a 32.999. And then in the race we achieved a 32.8. This first session though was nothing spectacular, as I'm sliding all about the gaff, just smacking into walls, just trying to find where the grip levels are, how to handle this car. I think the best time we got out of it in practice was a 34 something, so it was nothing to write home about, to be honest with you. And now I'm just letting some drivers through so I can try and follow them here as we go down the decline, head into where I nearly spin out, and then yeah, just mess that up completely. Let another guy through because I'm completely useless. It turns out I think this guy was a YouTuber called AJ Racing. I watched a couple of his videos before, so that was cool to see someone I've watched before. And then if I'm wrong, then I just look like a tit, don't I? But nevertheless, we are losing catastrophic time to karts in front, so I can't really follow their lines, as I still have no idea where the grip levels are or how smooth or rough I can be with the kart yet. As we now head back through this bottom section, as this is one of, I think, a professional karter. He was definitely someone could try and learn off for the 3.5 seconds I was actually behind him before he sodded off. And there goes his friend as we go across the top section, and we come downstairs now as I try and follow his line. A little bit better, but a lot of oversteers. I'm just being too binary with my throttle function on this surface. As we now come down through the start-finish straight once again to begin another lap, where I'm zero steering around the corner, which in theory should be faster, but just is not around here. And go up the incline, where I'm starting to get a hang of that corner now, as it's very similar to some of the corners at Gridline. So we now come down the decline once again. And I have my first spin of the day.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I try and spin my kart round and somehow cock that up as well, as we now get pushed back for being a moron and causing a red flag. Now the rest of this session was nothing really to write home about. It was just me struggling to find grip, struggling to find where I can and can't push the kart. So we're going to move now into qualifying. Okay, so we're heading out now for qualifying. Once again, under waved yellows. I wanted to follow someone to try and get the lines here, so I went behind these two, but very quickly changed my mind because I'm bipolar. So we're heading down now to the start-finish straight for our first flyer. So we go into turn 1. We go a little bit wide, but not too bad. Not amazing though, as we then go into the hairpin before the up ramp, where we do pretty decently. Again, it's nothing to write home about, nothing special. None of my fast laps were really these first few laps. As you can see, I was still struggling with the grip and where to turn in, as I then go wide and accidentally let 2 people wide. And I thought I might as well just let the other guy through as well, because I'm a nuisance. So as we then go into the last corner here, sort of getting a grist for it, sort of getting some braking points. I'm having to use patches on the floor. There's sort of like darker patches that you can use to brake and turn in. I find it a bit easier. At grid line there is a lot of tape everywhere, so it makes it quite easy. But around here you're left to your own devices, and you have to try and find everything yourself. As I'm starting to turn in a bit better into that corner, but again go wide and let another driver through, because I am smart and really talented. As we go into that last corner, I'm now starting to flick the rear round and use the brake for rotation around here, which again I'm not sure if it's faster. It felt faster, but again it might not be, as we then go up to the incline once again, trying to learn off these 2 drivers in front of me as much as possible. As we then go through that section there, a lot of oversteer on exit, so I'm just putting on the power way too early. As we now come into the last corner, where I'm actually gaining on the kart in front of me. It is a miracle. I'm learning how to drive. Who would have guessed it? Now, I was using the boost button. I'm not sure if it actually works, because it didn't feel like it, but I thought I might as well use it just in case. But nevertheless, we are actually gaining and gaining on this kart in front of us. We might just overtake someone. We now come into the final corner. It was actually a very nice tight line. Again, I'm sure there's a lot more I can do to make that better, as I straight line down the start-finish straight to try and get a better lap time. We now go up to the incline again. I'm getting closer and closer to him. We are right up his chuff now, going into the last corner. And now just giving him a little push to let him know I'm there. Try and force him into a mistake, which I do, and go around the outside. And that basically, it's given me a lot of confidence, because I now know I'm not the slowest driver on the track, and I'm certainly learning, and I'm not just a complete fool. So we now go on to our next flying lap, as we go a bit awfully through there, as it seems to be a theme of the day, and we turn in nice and early, get on the power earlier. It's quite decent. I'm not sure if that's the fastest line, but it felt quite good. As we then go downstairs again and just go a bit wide there, but we can go on the power a bit earlier. So somehow that works out quicker than what I was doing before, because it was that abhorrent. Nevertheless, very nice line through there, as we straight line it to the finish line, which is our fastest lap of the session. And there was not much else that happened during the session, so I was now actually quick enough for people not to lap me in a 15-minute session, and the person behind me was not quick enough to overtake me anymore. So we head on to the race. Okay, so we're about to head out on track now for the 30-minute endurance race. We have to do the beloved moron test before we head out onto circuit, as I now am trying to warm up the rear tyres as much as I can, due to needing as much help as I can get in this track, because I am inept. Also have to excuse the interesting focus from my camera. I think that's just because it wanted to focus on the steering wheel, because I'm a dwarf. But nevertheless, we are about to go racing, as the marshal is heading over to turn the lights on now. It's 5 red lights and away we go. I've got a better start than the car inside of me, but it does have the inside line and gives me a little nudge there, which kind of ruins my exit speed. and we lose that position quite quickly as we go onto the incline. I'm still right up there, Chuff, as we go over the little top story here. Still right behind him. Looking what I can do into this corner here as I'm alongside, grab the inside, give a little bit of a nudge to the MS kart driver there. Didn't mean to do that, but nevertheless, we still lose a position anyway because I get squeezed into the barrier. As we now go back into the last corner, I'm just pushing him round the corner, trying to see where I can find the move. Looking down the inside a little bit here, nothing to see. As I then go inside again, but no room to make a move. We go up to the incline once again, going onto the top story where I now lose a catastrophic amount of time, and the kart behind me is now open to battling as he now goes up the inside of me here. I go into last position briefly as I then gain a position back on him and tap my helmet to tell him that we need to focus on the pack ahead of us as we were both behind the pace. Unfortunately, he didn't really listen to that, and we still had a little bit of a battle which you can't see too well. But nevertheless, do manage to gap him in the end, which is not too bad for me. We now head back onto the start-finish straight. They're still in sight, but they are just pulling away from me. I was praying that they started fighting in front so I could catch up again and try and use my racecraft to get around them, but unfortunately my one-lap pace was not quick enough, regardless of their fighting, to actually keep up with them, unfortunately. Nevertheless, you see a bit of understeer again there. The front tyres are just too cold. These cars in general felt fairly even. Admittedly, I haven't driven many of them, so I could have had a good bunch, could have had a bad bunch, I don't know. But the lack of power steering on the Biz cars actually helps you drive the car a lot better than the Sodis, because you don't really overdrive these karts apart from on the power. So that is something that I have to praise Biz kart for, and I'm quite a big fan of. The one thing I don't like on these karts is, due to my little hands, it is a pain in the arse to press the push button because my thumb doesn't quite reach without moving my hand off the actual steering wheel, which is a bit annoying when you want to deploy at the up ramp. Nevertheless, these karts are pretty solid and fun to drive, so I'm not too fussed about that, as we now just see the karts in front of me disappear into the distance as I am being horrendously inconsistent, because again, I don't actually know which lap I was going fastest in, because I had no way of really reviewing my footage, because I had to either watch it through the tiny screen on the camera or I had to download it to my phone, which would have took about an hour and a half anyway. So this race is just going to be me experimenting and trying to get the fastest lap possible for BIKC qualification at this point. Hopefully next week we can try and be a bit more competitive with these drivers and learn a bit more. Maybe I should probably watch some YouTube videos to try and learn the lines and braking zones and things like that, because I am stupid and didn't do so and thought, oh, it'll be okay, I'll just wing it. As we now go back onto the start finish straight, you rejoin me for the fastest lap of my night here, which was a 32.8. Which was actually my goal, to get into the 32s, like, convincingly, which was pretty decent. Had a few 32.8s this evening. I was still 8 tenths off the first two karts, but nevertheless, not too bad for my first time in these karts and around here. As much as I am beating myself up for my lines and everything like that, but nevertheless, we're coming back onto the start-finish straight, and that concludes the fastest lap of the night for me. As we now go back onto another flying lap, and you can just hear myself getting cross with my stupid little mistakes that I keep making around here. I was just not consistent enough and need to work on that for next week. But nevertheless, we have now got the enter pit lane sign, so it's my time to make a clown of myself. And yeah, the award for worst pit stop in the world now goes to me for somehow getting stuck twice and causing myself to get lapped. But at the time, I didn't actually know I was lapped, so in a couple of laps' time, the carts in front of me, when they come in, I do overtake them, and I think that I'm actually doing that for position, because clearly I am not the world's most critical thinker. And that is certainly correct, Dennis. It was a shit stop. Well done. Now go into a red flag here. I'm not sure what this was for. Ah, there it is. Cart down there that was just flipped around into the barrier, which you can't see because, again, the camera doesn't want to focus for some reason on anything other than the steering wheel. Just a public service announcement. If any slow drivers are feeling like going to the Elite Members Night or Tin Tops next week to make me look better than I am, please do. And will be nice to actually race some people who are on the same special needs spectrum as me. As we now move a few laps forward, you can see the pack coming down the decline there, slowly but surely gaining on me and the cut who was behind me all night. And my silly little mind thinks that that is actually for position, because I think that I overtook them in an undercut, but obviously I didn't. You can see where I'm actually improving quite a lot from the start of the night, so I can't really beat myself up too much. I say that as I hit the wall, but nevertheless, we head into the first corner, where actually it seemed quite fast. I'm sure it wasn't, as we then missed the apex into the hairpin there. Going up the in-ramp, I'm now turning a little bit too early, I think, on that section, but nevertheless, I don't think it's cleared my time too much, and it's too much for me to worry about at this stage. But as you can see, one of the carts has overtaken P8 and is now going to begin hunting me down, which is going to be fun. But nevertheless, we now go into the... But nevertheless, here we're about to head into our first battle, as I think this is AJ racing now alongside me as we go too wide into turn 1. I'll try and squeeze him as much as I can without putting him into the wall, and then we go into turn 2. And I absolutely spin it like a twat. Also, let's say thanks to this guy after seeing my horrific pit stop and put my pedals down for me to save me some time. I appreciate you. Thank you, whoever you are. Nevertheless, I'm now fuming because my tiny little mind thinks that was for P3 when in reality it wasn't. Regardless, I'm now driving angry and just keep making some stupid mistakes and being binary on the pedals once again. But nevertheless, we now have the two fastest cars of the evening behind. Again, I kind of, in the back of my mind, I thought they're probably ahead of me, but I'm still going to battle just in case the undercut was actually really powerful around here, because again, I've never been here, so I don't know. As we now cut forward a few laps where I go wide and give them the opportunity to be right up my arse, I now know I have to go into this last corner really tight, which I do. Gives me a little push there, which actually helps me to gain some acceleration because of how slow my exits were. Nevertheless, I'm going a bit wide there just to try and cover off as he pushes me again, but gets the inside, then just gets the inside because, of course, I can't just slam the door onto him and they both then go through. But I'm now going to use this opportunity to try and learn off them, try and learn their lines, as I then just copied how he braked where I was instead of where he was and lose a bunch of time like a moron. Nevertheless, we're going to try and just keep up with them for as much as we can, which was, I reckon, was about 5.5 seconds. I actually started to sling the cart in a little bit more because that seems to be what they were doing. I'm not sure if it was faster or not. I didn't actually get a faster time from it. I got another 32.8 at some region at the end of this race, which was round about now. There wasn't actually any more drama in this race. Unfortunately, it was quite a lonely race because I'm slow. One thing I did notice with the Biz carts was that you did have to press the pedal quite a lot more than you do in the Sodies to get the rears to lock up, which threw me off a couple of times when I broke a bit too hard for the cart, thinking that I needed to put more pressure on than I actually did. Hence why I've spun twice today. But nevertheless, we go down the start-finish line once again for another lap as we're going to turn 1. Actually take that very tight again. Just going a little bit wider because I saw them doing it. Not really correct, I assume. This is none of these lap times were any quicker than my others. As we go into the last corner here, as we cross the checkered flag, put an end to the most boring race in the world. So what can we take from this session? Yes, I am useless. Yes, I have a lot more learning to do. But nevertheless, if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and subscribe. I've also got a Discord server now for you to join if you want to. And also have set up an Instagram for this YouTube account. So please follow them. They're both linked in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching and goodbye.